Welcome back, everybody, to more esports news. There, an update story and a story we covered actually last split many months ago on the team known as Vaevictis from the CIS region in League of Legends, otherwise known as the LCL. Now, if you guys did not see our first episode on this, it was a pretty crazy one. I did not think I'd be back here covering them again, but we have the same roster, nearly the same roster in back-to-back splits for the LCL, setting many records in the League of Legends scene, and doing so in a very weird fashion. So I'll link that video down below for all of you guys who want to listen to that. But updates for all of you guys, they are now back for the second split with their all-female roster and continue to set records, unfortunately enough, in that league. Now, why I say unfortunately, guys, back-to-back splits now without a single win means they have the worst record in terms of percentage wins ever in League of Legends history, at least when it comes to the leagues out there, official leagues, that of the LCL compared to many of the other ones, you know, TCL, LEC, LCS, the worst win percentage of any League of Legends teams in history of an actual established league. And on top of that, we talked about in the last episode as well, for that last split, they set a couple other records as well. The first of which, it was actually one of the fastest games in League of Legends history. They now do that yet again for a back-to-back split. Last split, it was actually a top 5 fastest game of all time. They set another one inside the top 15 this split, which marks, yes, 2 of the top 15 fastest league matches ever in history have now been set by the single roster. On top of that, they also set the single record for most deaths in a single game as well, that being the Vega Squadron last split, where they died an entire 52 times, unfortunately enough. A follow-up to that story as well, many months ago, we actually had Riot issue warnings to a couple of teams out there. The first was the Vega Squadron for supposedly running out the scoreboard on them, and a bit of a, I guess you could say, lack of competitive integrity against them. The more serious one was actually issued to Rox, though, who they were actually targeted by Riot and warned for the champions they banned. Yes, it was just a shocking story when it did come out. Riot actually warning teams that you can only ban certain champions, apparently, as the team actually banned all 5 support champs, I do believe, against the Vaevictis roster. Notoriously enough, a lot of female players do like to play support players, although there are arguments back and forth as to why those bans did make sense for Rox. They were still issued a warning by Riot, though. Nonetheless, Vaevictis has unfortunately enough set a many records so far in the LCL, and they continue to compete, which is drawing a lot of attention to Vaevictis, but not the good kind of attention, and it's super confusing for the future of esports as to why an organization is allowed to do this in a league like the LCL. Because it's also known they have fielded a roster of lower diamond players, which, if you're not aware, in League of Legends is pretty low for the pro scene. I would say it's higher than the average player, but when it comes to professional League of Legends, it's not even close to that of the upper ranks of what they probably should be. They've not really changed their roster ever since last split. They have made a few changes to that roster, but stuck it out with a full female lineup who has yet to win a game. They are setting records, I would say, in an embarrassing fashion. I'm not going to blame the players here, right? If an organization will pay you to play for them, yes, you're going to take the opportunity. My blame definitely goes towards the Vaevictis organization, who last split, they started to field this female roster because they couldn't sell the spot. Surprise, surprise, no one out there is trying to buy a spot in a League of Legends league that is not currently franchised. The CIS region of League of Legends, and especially when it comes to the LCL, is definitely one of the more, again, allegations, one of the more corrupted seemingly scenes, or certainly one of the lower League of Legends scenes out there. So no organization is looking in search of a spot to actually buy for these guys, and so it seems Vaevictis is really stuck on fielding what is likely a cheaper roster to field because of their ranks, and alongside that, because in promotion, you're still getting your name out there, right? Stories like this, matches like the one against Vega Squadron, or when Riot gets involved and has to warn your opponent to stop trolling you, that gets you attention. I don't know if it's worth it for the future of the organization, that being Vaevictis, but it's super confusing in terms of competitive integrity because a lot of their opponents have been blamed for not having it. But then you look at the organization itself, is it competitive? Is this integrity in itself when you continue to actually field a subsequent roster, now back-to-back splits, that is not anywhere near the level of all of your opponents? You continue to lose and do so in very, very dominantly losing fashion. Is this okay? And again, I'm not blaming the players whatsoever here, guys. It's not their fault. The organization wants an all-female lineup and they can compete at the top level and get paid for it. Heck yeah, you take that opportunity yourself. I would take it as well. When it comes to the organization, the reputation of this league and the organization and the future of so, they can't get relegated. And so, you really can't blame the org if promotionally this is actually getting them some great exposure. If you're actually paying your roster a much cheaper sum than it would be to actually sign a top-tier professional roster and you get the same value out of it, can you fully blame them if the league then allows us to go on? It's just very confusing compared to other esports and other leagues. This would never be allowed. Of course, most franchise leagues do have relegation as well, or you lose your spot in some form or fashion, or if you are a franchise league. Some other organizations can actually just buy you out because, well, it's a valuable spot. When it comes time to the LCL, though, it's not a valuable spot. These guys can't get relegated. The organization seems set in stone on putting out a roster that can't even win. And so I push the question to you guys. What do you think about this? Again, I don't blame the players. I'm not even sure if I fully blame the organization. I'm not sure who's to fully blame here. If you continue to actually put out a roster that's cheaper, gets you the same level of promotion, and they don't have to win, and no one's forcing you to change anything up, why would you? It's just so strange because most esports organizations look to improve. They look to get better, they look to win, and they look to capitalize on, of making changes and, again, progressing, making some form of progress. Vaevictis doesn't seem very set on doing that. I'm not really sure what their ultimate goal here is, guys. We'll see how many splits these guys can go winless and how many they can actually last in this league before Riot says something finally. But as for now, guys, Vaevictis remains winless, remaining setting records inside the LCL, and we will see what happens for their future. Until next time, guys, my name is Jake, breaking down esports and other news here all day long. Until next time, take care. I'll see you soon.